Meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Eric?
Yes.
And Kish. I have the meeting minutes from the June 11th, 2024 Amherst Township Trustee meeting. The meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. by Lynch with a pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Eric, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance was G. Lynch, K. Smarsh, L. Ashley, J. Hall, T. Sillo, and S. D'Ambrosio. 6/1/24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, to approve the May 28th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented, and all ayes. 6/2/24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, to approve the May 28th, 2024 public hearing meeting minutes as presented, all ayes. 6/3/24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as presented and with reservations, all ayes. Under audience concerns, Jay Hall introduced himself to the trustees as a candidate for Lorain County Sheriff. T. Sillo also introduced himself as a candidate for Lorain County Prosecutor. 6/4/24, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch, moved to approve Township 2025 annual tax budget of estimated revenue and expenditure appropriation per Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.28, adoption of tax budget as prescribed by the Budget Commission of Lorain County, Ohio. All ayes. Under correspondence, Trustee Lynch noted receipt of a letter from the State of Ohio Department of Taxation, Division of Tax Equalization, that they received our application for the parcels we are seeking credit/reduction for the property tax. Under reports, ambulance, there was none. Zoning, Sam presented 31 permits to date with 1 new construction year to date. There will be an Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals public hearing on Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall to consider an area variance conditional use permit and sign variance for 46565 and 46575 Telegraph Road, parcel numbers 05-00-229-000-095 and 05-00-030-000-060. Under Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh reported that everything is running smooth. He presented a quote for $37,100 for the Deepwood cul-de-sac concrete repair from Dennis Concrete. Fiscal officer noted that money was budgeted for 2024 to cover this expense. Township Administrator, preparing for cemetery grant that will open July 1st. Kevin is doing prep work by getting estimates for the work that will be done should we receive the grant dollars. Investigating fire codes for an inquiry made by the Lorain County Prosecutor. Also working on protecting revenue by trying to get clarification on requirements for fire inspections. There is some confusion on them being done every year or every 2 years. The first set of addresses are in for Sandstone Phase 1. Trustee Lynch asked if Trustee Urick was in receipt of the information he provided for the justification of stormwater credits. Trustee Urick stated he has the application and will be talking with Don Romanchik regarding his requests for credit. Under complaints, they are being handled by the designated individual. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, June 25th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6/5/24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, to adjourn at 7:48 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the June 11th meeting minutes? Hearing none, then I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I will second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Then you also have in front of you the May credit card report or form that I made for you. There was nothing major purchased supplies.
All right.
And also the financials there, Chris?
Yes.
We usually do the financials first.
Oh, okay. Financials, I have, again, very little with the payments going out. There was a payroll in there half month, and everything else is pretty much standard. Our Year-to-date revenue is $861,459.15. And our year-to-date expenditures is $532,826.31.
That revenue, we should get that second half sometime soon, because
Usually
I
August.
received my bill Monday and paid it Tuesday.
Yeah, but it's not due till when? First week of July?
Usually
So
about
then-
mid-August.
Don't be late, because it's 10% penalty. Okay, and then I just want to mention, Chris, before we go through the approval, and there's 2 credit cards, it looks like, that'll be expiring next month.
Yeah, I did ask if anybody had received their new one, and Linda had said she had not.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I'll shoot a email to Maureen at Huntington, our
Okay.
business banker.
Now, the address on that should come here, correct?
The bills?
Well, the bills and the cards, if there's anything.
Yeah, they come here.
Okay, well then, I want to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment of the items on the payment listing as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
Abraham?
And the number on that, Chris?
Is 67.
Oh, I got the 7 in there. Okay, I'm jumping ahead to the next one. Okay, then I'll also make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy, and the card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
I will second that.
And just for discussion, I just want to mention, Chris, that at the last Lorraine County Township Association meeting, they were going over policies the township should have. It was more focused on personnel policies, but Greg Peltz from the prosecutor's office also went through things, and he specifically singled out the credit card policy. I didn't volunteer what we do, but using the spreadsheet and having this filled out the way you present it is really, to me, it hits every point in the revised code, so that it should make it very easy for the auditors when they come through. And I like it because, you know, we see everything they need. How many accounts do we have? Who has a card? When the card expires, what the credit limit is, what expenditures have been made, and that a receipt has been provided. And if not, then we have to go through, well, how do you justify that expenditure? And our policy is you try and go back and get the receipt if you lost it, but as you're aware, you can't always get that. But and we actually meet everything that the legislature intended to do. Okay, ready for roll call?
Lynch?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I extend a welcome, but there's no one from the public, so we'll just move on. Correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at
Danny?
this time.
No, nothing.
Okay, you do have, and even though this deals with roads, I just want to cover it now, and Kevin does have a copy of this. The Round 39 Ohio Public Works Commission schedule and the directions for the application have been put out. Kevin's working on an application for some concrete replacement that he's discussed at a previous meeting. I believe that's Moss Canyon you're looking at, and leveraging with the stormwater mini grant.
Rustic Hill.
A Rustic Hill, okay. So there's no guarantee we'll get this, but what you've got here is the schedule of events and also what the engineer Ken Carney has for the directions. They did send out a paper application they'd like filled out first and then discussed with the county engineer. And if they find acceptable, then we got to go into WorkWise and enter it in electronically. You got a question there, David?
Is this the only project we're going to go for as far as road projects for next year?
Yes, sir.
And what does this entail on Rustic Hill, please?
From the west side of the intersection of Rosedale and heading west 180 feet, the south side of Rustic Hill would be the eastbound lane. And then there's the catch basin that's at that intersection, waiting for an estimate from the county engineer.
There's some work there on that. All right, Where- that's-
Okay? Ready to move on then, David?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In reports on ambulance, we still have the meeting scheduled for August 1st, but there might be a change in that date. The president of the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District Board is also a full-time fireman, and he is scheduled to work that day. But he did put out a poll to make sure that there's enough members for a board meeting, and they are looking at an alternative date where he can be there and not be on the schedule, but that hasn't been determined yet. So if there can't be a mutual date where the other members can also make it and have a quorum, it will still be on August 1st. We just won't have the president of the board present. That's it for ambulance. Move on. Sheriff, Deputy Fuller.
So I went through manually and I got a little bit of a report.
Okay.
Amherst Township had 23 alarms, 44 premise checks by us, and 30 traffic stops. That was the most I could see, the top three for Amherst Township. Any questions?
Nothing major. We're not in the news.
Nope.
That's what we want to avoid.
And it looks like we're doing, there was a bunch of traffic stops and a bunch of premise checks within your resident, or within your township, so.
I have a question. We used to get a report from
Yep,
the sheriff's
I know.
department. Okay, is that gonna,
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe not.
Okay.
We're trying.
that's okay, I just
So
was
with-
wondering, because I was like.
Yeah, with us, there's some technical difficulties going on, I guess I should say. We're working on it. I'm trying to work with my IT department, but as of right now, I'm just trying to go through there and kind of give you some sort of report.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
Yeah, I don't even get access to it anymore, so.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to zoning. Our zoning inspector, Sam's not here, but a couple of items is there is a site plan review scheduled for July 2nd. And there's actually two of them now. One of them, it's Ledbetter Real Estate and Marsh Engineering on State Route 58, east side, south of Telegraph. And the documentation was put in the green box for you to pick up with your name on. I can't tell you anything more than what's in that documentation and looking at it, but they're just showing some black box buildings, if you will, and then they wrote over some saying real estate and some, retail, and some say storage. So I have no idea what the plan is for that one. There's also Dave Kohler from Cambridge Services. He's the one that had approximately 100 acres he was originally going to purchase on the east side of Overland Road, south of State Route 113. He was approved for 65 home max and conserve all the wooded area on a conservation development zoning amendment. But we told him we thought it'd be difficult because the county subdivision regulations specify a maximum of 50 homes. Since then, he thought he could get through because of some other developments in Lorraine County that have more than 50 homes. But he, subsequent to that, found out they were approved under an older revision of subdivision regulations. So the new regulations limit the number of homes. So he had to get an alternative means of egress, which he was aware that would probably be the option. Well, he's done that, but in the change is it will now be a smaller portion of what he's buying from the property owners that own the property. And so it's my understanding he will be on the zoning commission's July 2nd meeting for a review of an amendment to that approved general development plan. So if you haven't picked up that documentation, pick it up before you leave tonight and be prepared to discuss that on July 2nd. And then also, it will then come before the trustees to approve that amendment also. So it won't be a zoning amendment, it will be amendment to his general development plan. So with that, I think you can informally notify the adjacent property owners if you know them. We can't expend taxpayer money to send out formal notices like we did for the zoning amendment. But you're aware of the people that came in. Most of you will know the neighbors, and you can just let them know if they want to come up to take a look at it as the zoning commission reviews this.
Is that on here anymore?
It's not, Chris. I didn't have it. It's called Stratton Corners. Yeah, so it would be right under number 4 with Ledbetter Real Estate, which is under there on 8D4.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, it's called Stratton Corners, Stratton, and that's David Kohler, Kolar, and his company is Cambridge Services. CMBRIDGES Services. So what he's proposing is a 75-home conservation development now, and he will have his emergency access, but it's a much smaller acreage, so instead of approximately 100 acres, he's down to, I believe it's 53 acres. And he'll have access both on State Route 113 and Overland Road, whereas before it was just one access on Overland Road.
Well, I saw that map, it didn't have access on 113. It had frontage on 113.
Right, well,
But there was an access on Overland, 2 accesses on
there's
Overland.
2 accesses on Overland Road. He's got frontage on 113 right now. And if you look at the plan, he's just showing 1 home up there. And then he's got the 73 homes in the area where he previously was approved for 65. Okay. And Chris, I know we've talked about this before as far as the fire department. If you have anything required on emergency access in terms of what the base needs to be, since your vehicles have to go down. So I don't know if you've seen the plan he's got. It doesn't specify materials there. It just shows, an access coming through off Overland Road and then plantings along the side of some sort of tree. And I assume he's probably talking some evergreen or something to screen the neighboring properties.
It's an emergency access. How many houses was it total? More than 30?
Yeah, there's more than 30. It hasn't been approved yet. What the Zoning Commission and the trustees approved up to 65 homes in that conserved area. The conserved portion, he's showing 73 homes and then 1 up fronting 113. So he's asking for 73. That hasn't been approved yet. That'd be an amendment to his plan, which was 65. And so he would have a concrete road coming in off Overland Road heading east that services the development, and then a little bit north of that he would have another emergency access that's just for emergency vehicles. But it doesn't specify, what the bedding material is going to be, so it can support those emergency vehicles.
Okay.
And
I'll bring all that
obviously you come through with a
documentation. when it
loaded
comes to that meeting.
tanker, there will be fire hydrants in there, but, you still might bring a tanker through that or some other heavy vehicles.
I'll give him all the documents he needs in order to make that, because we have specific turning radiuses that they have to meet on the roadway, the width of the road, and a lot of people are trying to push for that emergency second means of ingress or egress. And a lot of times if it's required because of the number of houses, why not just pave it and use it as opposed to having an emergency? Because they're going to put up a gate. We're going to have one of our padlocks in there. We're never going to use that unless we block the other way. The first people that go in are going to go in the main drive and get to where they need to go. That second ingress or egress, 9 times out of 10, we never use it. They're doing the exact same thing in Amherst, and our comments were exactly the same. We'll never use that because we have to drive all the way down 58 to get into Rock Creek Run, to come in the back way to get to the trailer park. It's, I'll look at his drawing and I'll come prepared with what I need to give him on that day of that meeting.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
Chris,
sorry,
you're not gonna use it, but then again, your example, North Stewie has never been blocked before. There's a storm, you gotta do
Okay,
storm,
so-
and there's a tree that's across the road, a couple of trees across the road. Now, your only way in and out has been blocked. How are you going to handle that?
Is that like
That's what it's one of those things
Okay.
you hope you don't have to use. It's like the fire extinguisher on the wall. It's there if you need it, but the hope is you never use it. Same with your first aid kit. You hope you never have to use it. The defibrillator, you
And
hope you
David,
never have to use it.
Chris isn't arguing against
No.
having a second entrance. What he's saying is, why not just pave it and make it full access with a
Right.
paved road?
Oh, there,
That was his
okay, all right.
position.
Right, we're
My
not opposed
apologies,
to it.
Chris.
It's just, for your example, at Copper Creek, we had a house fire 2 months ago. There's one way in and one way out. Of course, it was on the main road, and we laid a hose across the street because the hydrant's on one side, house burning's on the other side. So you blocked everybody off that can't go in or out of there. So there was people lined up. We had a break where we could actually break the hose and let them all out. We broke the hose and let them out. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Your neighbor's house is on fire. We got to put it out before we can let you in or out. But as far as the fire department using an emergency ingress and egress, we may or may not. 9 times out of 10, we will not.
Yeah, this one,
Yeah, we hope you
most of the
don't.
time you would not use it, you would use the main
Right,
one.
so like I say-
Only be if it were blocked.
And a lot of
because
times, like in the
obstruction.
city with those emergency access roads, they put them in, they put down this mesh, they put down the stone, they put down the grass, they plow the snow, they block it. When they plow the snow, they block it, they block the gate. Because nobody's watching what they're doing. So if you need the emergency ingress and it's covered with snow, so now somebody has to patrol that.
I think,
And then after it's built, who takes care of that road and maintains that emergency road that's not paved or blacktop? It's probably gonna be covered with gravel and the grass is gonna go through it. Who's gonna, so that association fee, they may have to have some kind of an agreement with the association.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things that follow that. It's nice when it's put in at the beginning. 5 years down the road, it's probably not gonna be so nice.
I think it's less about, the access than it is about traffic control.
Right, but if it's paved,
You could, but that's a planning issue that the cities and towns.
that's why I say, I'll bring all that
decide.
documentation when we come to that, when we have that meeting in the first week in July.
You have Mr. Kohler's contact information?
I do.
So,
I do.
yeah, if you talk with him ahead of time, so he's
Yeah.
prepared to address that, because obviously the zoning commission will be
Mhm.
bringing it up also.
Right,
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Anything else on that, David, or?
No. I regret it, Chris, if I came off a little harsh on you.
Yeah, he wasn't arguing against it, he was saying, why not
Just
just
pave it.
put another road in and pave it?
I think the answer to that is about traffic control.
Okay, roads, parks, and cemeteries, Superintendent Smarsh.
Everything is running smooth, all regular maintenance, up to par. They started the mini grant projects yesterday. They broke out all the concrete and they started digging out catch basins today. When I left, they had 2 of them that were completely dug out. He was going tonight to pick up the precastings to set them in for tomorrow.
You take any photos of that, Kevin?
I'm sorry?
Do you
Yes.
take any? Okay.
Yes.
And if you can send those, whether Don Romancax or Alexis, I think she goes by Alex.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I definitely got pictures before, obviously with the application.
I saw the before.
Right. Yeah, but I've been taking pictures.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Was there something?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, and hopefully we have, by the next meeting, the project agreements from the Public Works Commission. If we do, the trustees will formally award those, but I think you can pretty much tell Dennison Crossroads, if you haven't already, that, they're there's nothing from the state indicating they're going to withhold the money. It's just a matter, we got to wait till they send those project agreements.
Yes.
If you see it by email, I know they'll put so many people on that distribution list, send me a copy because, I never know who's getting it, who isn't. Typically, I will get an email, but, don't want to miss it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, Linda's not here. I have no report for Lorco. We'll move on to stormwater. And David, I put this on a different section of the agenda, but now would be the appropriate time to discuss the stormwater credit application.
I will file a credit application for the Township Hall property and for the yard waste property across the street. There's two separate parcels. I will file an application to request a reduction in the fee. The most you can get is 50%, but still, that's something.
It's over $500 a year.
For those two properties, so I will ask. The worst thing they can do is say no, but if they say no, what we got the same bill we got now. But if they say yes, we could have a smaller bill. So I will get an application in for both properties by the end of the week when they're due.
I would expect them to say yes, at least on some of it. You can't deny the detention basin that we're really not required to have, and you can't deny the yard waste back there with, a gravel drive leading to it. So the only structure on that property is a little storage building, and other than some signage, you have anything stored in there, Kevin?
Barrels,
Some barrels?
yeah.
If they decide that, no, we've got to pay a stormwater fee, what would you lose if we got rid of the accessory building?
Nothing.
So we could knock the shed down, David, if that's the reason, because there's structure on it? Because typically, when they assign those fees, it's not for vacant land. It's land with structure. So,
What Don and I looked at was, looks like it's the, not paved area, but the lot
Gravel.
and road area. Looks like any fee is based on that.
but again, it's pervious surface. It's not impervious. It's not
That's a
paved.
gravel, and that can have a different rate than
So again, my point is, make sure in your discussion, if the reason they put a stormwater fee on there is because there's a structure, that just happened to be a leftover accessory building when that was parceled off from the adjoining property owner. And he had to pay a stormwater fee. We can get rid of that structure if that's what we need to do. Okay, we don't need it. Kevin just verified that. And it's old. We let it just stop painting it, it'll fall down on its own.
I think that, that stormwater fee came in since we bought the property. I don't think,
It's separated after it, but again, if you don't have a structure with, or impervious surface, you shouldn't pay any fee. The only structure on the property is the accessory building. If that's what they're using for the justification of the stormwater fee, we'll knock it down. Okay? I think I've been clear. So you're discussing with Don, we want to get those stormwater fees as much removed as possible when they don't make any sense. Okay, we'll move on to the complaints. Sam's not here, but we know he's addressing those. The street lighting, David, I don't think we need to go into that anymore. You're just waiting on Ohio
I'm
Edison
just
now.
waiting for them to complete the project.
All right, that's all that had to be covered. With the other items that you have responsibility for divvied up between the trustees, is there anything else to bring forward?
No, sir. No, nothing at this time.
Okay, our next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, July 9th. Kevin, any need for a work session?
No, sir.
Okay, any need for an executive session? All right, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Lynch?
Yes?
Beard?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.